Hello, this is Calvin Cox. It's Thursday, October 25. The year is 2012. It's 8:41 p.m. I want to give a talk about, hopefully I'm going to keep this pretty short. I just realized something that was perhaps possible. I think it's possible, but has to do with the sun and what could occur possibly in the future, and if it did, it would actually be a blessing for mankind, because it would allow the earth to cool off and lose enough heat, and the North Pole would allow it to freeze over good, and the South Pole also, so that the earth could be in a better situation as far as it would slow down the overheating the earth is experiencing. I've been doing some research on the sun, and if you go to Google and you type in the query section, if you type in cutaway section of the sun's interior, then when you click search, you're going to come up with like 5 separate pictures, and then there's going to be separate headings, of course, below it. And the one that I found gave me the most information, that was the most concise, to the point, compact, full amount of information, was under the heading below the pictures. It was our sun and heliosphere. That's the one. It's like the, I don't know, second or third, maybe fourth down, and then it starts getting to all kinds of really interesting stuff, what's going on with the sun. The sun's incredibly interesting. It's actually a liquid. I mean, probably everybody has seen a picture of what a generator looks like. Okay, that's something that is a physical device that spins and creates electricity. Well, the sun is a liquid generator. Who in the world has ever heard of a liquid generator? But it is. It's a liquid generator, and it's a liquid coil. Now, a coil, if you pull it out of a car, it comes in this container about so big, but inside of it is a bunch of windings of wire. Okay, the sun is also a liquid coil. Think about that. It takes a long time to sink in all the little intricacies that are occurring in the sun. Very, very interesting. What I wanted to talk about was sunspots. Now, sunspots, my thinking is the current stuff I was reading says that sunspots is where the magnetic field lines go back down in, and they keep away heat, and so it looks darker because they're saying it's cooler. Okay, I agree with that to a point, but I also believe that sunspots are actually accreted, gathered together elements that the sun creates. The sun creates all elements other than hydrogen. It does not create that, but it combines through the process of fusion. Fusion, not fission. Fission is when you're splitting atoms. Fusion is when you join atoms. Through the process of fusion, it creates all the elements. I think there's, what, 118 now. From helium being the second element all the way up to the I think it's 118th element. I keep forgetting. It's a lot of them. So that's all created through the action in the sun. Well, those elements have to go somewhere, and my belief is that a lot of them are gathered together in sunspots. It's not just having to do with the magnetic field, but it's also having to do with that field would attract liquefied elements. And if you think about it, the mass of the sun is, according to this information, is 333,000 Earths worth of mass. Well, 2% of that, of the 333,000 Earth's worth of mass, is what the sun's mass is. 2% of that is solid materials and everything else. So you can't say that there's not physical matter on the sun. It's hot. It's at least in the coolest area would be like 10,000 degrees. Okay, and so therefore it would be liquefied. If you can think on Earth, what might be equal to that, or what would be closest equal to that temperature of 9,000 degrees, would be a volcano. What erupts out of a volcano, I believe it's like 7,000 or 8,000 degrees. Something incredibly similar. Okay? That is worth noting. Now, the thing I was thinking about is, so there is something extremely similar on Earth on the surface of the sun that are both very, very similar. Liquid, super hot liquid, around 8,000 or 9,000 degrees. On Earth it would be mostly rocks, but on certain areas on the sun would be probably actually very similar. The point I'm trying to make is that those areas, if this were a black spot, a dark spot on the sun, and my belief is that it's matter, iron, aluminum, all kinds of other elements that have gathered together into a large mass, and for some reason they're attracted to the magnetic field lines. What I believe is possible that could occur, and actually in a way I hope it does occur, it would help the Earth cool down, is that all this huge, and the black spots, dark spots on the sun can be up to 50,000 miles in diameter. That's a huge amount. Now imagine that the sunspot was to separate into layers, and that parts of it were to move around. Okay, I do not know what would cause such a sunspot to gradiently slice and kind of migrate, but after giving it a lot of thought, it is possible that these areas could migrate kind of out like pancakes, and then if they were to gravitate to the surface close to the same time, you would have a lot of dark spots appearing. Okay, and if there were enough of these dark spots that were appearing, let me color them in to give it a little more effect. If you look at it like that, maybe they would be larger this way. I'm not looking at it sectionally correct, but my point being that a large dark spot on the sun, if we were to like shear apart and then move whatever way, north, south, east, west, around the surface, and then appear towards the surface, I think that could cause a cooling on Earth, because I think that would slow down a wee bit some of the radiating effect. And this is something that, it would be more believable that there's 9,000 degrees superheated steam on the sun on the surface and in the atmosphere, then it probably would be believable that something like this could occur. That after a lot of consideration, I think it could. There's I still have to look into the dynamics of how all the flow lines and the magnetic lines and the ionized gas and everything are creating. It's a dynamo. It's crazy. It's a liquid generator, and it's a liquid coil. It's very, very complex. And so it's something that bears looking at more. I'm going to be studying it more. But I think that's something that if it would occur, would be beneficial. And I think there is a chance that it's possible it could occur. Anyway. How long it would stay cold or whatever, I don't know. Maybe it would stay that way for 6 months, maybe a year and a half. But probably eventually those areas would remelt or recongregate somewhere